Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to channel CodeX. This is your host Afzal, and in today's video I'm going to talk about flare animation. Yes, that is also known as RIVE animation. So in this video we'll be integrating the flare file inside our Flutter application and we'll create something like this. So you can see that instead of just having a simple star or simple smiley, once you move the slider, the smiley expression changes dynamically. So if you want to create animation like this, make sure to watch full video. We are starting right away. So let me just fire Visual Studio Code, and this is a basic template which you get out of the box when you create a new application inside Flutter. So I'm just going to remove all the comments just like that, and once you save, it will be formatted. And we'll just get rid of the unwanted thing. I don't want this floating action button to increment the counter. I don't want this method as well. And let me just run the application. So here is the application. Okay, I don't want this text, and this counter I can change from counter to rating just like that, and let's make it double so that we can provide this to the slider, because slider accepts a double value. So I'm going to just say 0.0 or maybe 5.0. okay, any default rating you want to provide. And now let's actually add a slider. So I'll add a slider. Okay, and then the value will be, of course, the rating value. The minimum it can take is the 1 star. The maximum will be 5, and in between there will be basically 4 steps to move from 1 to 5. Okay, so this is a simple setup of slider, and let's add this on change also. And instead of writing this method over here, I'm going to create my own method. So I'll say on changed, and let's define it over here. So this is a simple setup. You all know this stuff. I'm just starting from scratch so that anyone, like any level of developer, can understand what I'm doing. So this on change method accepts a value that will come from here, whatever the latest value of slider. So once we get the latest value, we'll set the state. And of course, this is not a provider tutorial, so I'm not going to add any state management. Just use a simple set state, and we'll update the rating with the latest value. And let's just try to run this, how it works. If I move the slider, we can see the rating is changing. Simple enough, right? Now on this value we have to animate the flare. So let's include the flare first, and then we will animate it. So let's go to the file structure and add a assets folder. You can name pretty much anything you want. So I'll just drag and drop on the assets folder, and here we have the file. So you know the drill. We have to go to pubspec YAML file and mention the assets which we just added. So remove this comment just like that, and mention the folder name where your assets reside. So far we are doing just setup thing. So we have our assets included, and now to use the flare file we need a package as well. So let's go to pubspec YAML again and add a dependency, and this time we'll be using Flare Flutter, and the latest version is 2.0.6 at this point of time. So you just copy this from here and paste inside your dependency. Once you save, it's going to download the dependency for you, and you can just close this and restart application, because it's a good idea whenever you add something in your pubspec YAML, it's a good practice to restart your application so that everything is updated. So our application is up and running with the default value of 5, which is good. Now let's add a FlareActor. So FlareActor is something which will play your animation, and here you have to provide the path where your flare animation resides. So this is the path. I will say assets/happiness emoji.flr file. Okay, and then you will see that some exception happened, and the reason because there's no finite height, because you provided the FlareActor but there's no fixed height and width. So easily we can fix that. Just provide a container, just wrap your FlareActor with a container and give a fixed height and width. You can use this height and width as your animation, what you have created in your artboard, or you can use any other number. So I'm just going to give a height of 300 and width of 300. Simple. And let me just run the application once again. Cool. So we got our Flare file in position, but nothing is happening, right? Even if you move the slider, nothing will happen because we have not provided what animation it should play. And the way we can do that is modify our FlareActor, like provide all the properties it requires. So basically this is some simple properties. I will specify what should be the alignment. Of course, alignment we want in the center. So you can provide this stuff, and what should be the fit. That is also a good practice to provide. So you can say box fit dot contain. Okay, and then comes the important property, which is animation. And here you will provide the name of animation. Now you'll be thinking, where is the name, where we have defined name for animation? So let me show you the Flare file which I created on rive.app. I'll put link in the description. If you want to go check yourself, you can check that. You can fork it, you can use for any purpose. I have kept it open source. And what basically happens here you will create a path for each animation. So I have set off like 8 animations for my rating. So there's -1, like it's coming from higher value to 1, +2 means it's coming from 1 to 2, -2 means it's coming from 3 to 2, like that. All the state I have specified. So there's total combination of 8 animation, and don't get scared, it's very simple. It will just take a matter of 10 to 15 minutes to understand. If you have ever done Photoshop or Adobe XD or those stuff, it's just going to take 15 to 20 minutes and you will learn how to do that. So don't get scared on looking at the list of animations. So these are the names of your animation. Whatever you're gonna write in the FlareActor, that will be your animation. Okay, so let's get back to the Visual Studio Code and provide initial animation. So I will say 5+, like it came to 5 from somewhere. Of course, it's reaching 5 means it's coming from the less than value. And let's see whether we see any animation or not. If you have noticed, the smiley, it increases, right? Because we provided the animation of 5+, means it's coming from somewhere like 3 or 4 or somewhere, it reaches 5, so it will smile. Okay, so let's create a variable for that. I'm going to say string current animation is equal to 5+. So that will be our initial animation, and of course depending on the value we'll be changing that. So here at this point we'll be comparing different values, and according to that we'll be changing the current animation. So if I make it 4+, or let me show you the 2+ example and reload the application, it's going to have this animation. So on change we have to write all this logic. Okay, let's change it back to 5+, and the reason why I did like that, why I named my animation as 5+, 2+, so that it's easy to write the comparison statement. You can literally name anything you want, like animation coming to 5, animation coming to 4, like that. But then it will be difficult for you to write switch case element and all those stuff. You have to manage yourself. So to simplify your coding, you have to name your animation smart way, so that you don't write a lot of switch case. Okay, so let me switch to iPad and show you what actually I'm doing. So here's the formula which I created: the number of states multiplied by 2 and then -2. This will give you the number of animation you have to create. Okay, so we have number of state as 5, so 5 into 2 will be 10, and -2 is equal to 8. So total 8 state we have to create. And now to simplify you, the first animation will be going from 1 to 2. This is our first animation. The second animation will be going from 2 to 3. And now don't get scared, it's very easy. It's just matter of moving the lines. It will automatically create animation for you. So now to name the animation, I decided to go with the current value. So for 1, I'll keep it 1. But this always will be decrementing. So from 2 it will come, from 4 it will come, from 5 it will come. So I added minus sign. Same thing for 2. I kept it animation name as 2, and there's a 2 animation. One is increasing animation, where you are from very sad you will become a little bit sad. So I made it plus. Okay, and there's another animation which is from normal position you'll become a little bit sad, so 2 minus, like that. I kept the animation names. It's just matter of providing the name. Okay, so enough of talking, let's get back to tutorial and try to animate the smiley. So here we are back in Visual Studio Code. Now what I'm going to do is find the current animation name. Okay, so basically the idea is once you move to 1, the value 1, it should show the animation 1 minus, because you came to 1 from some higher value. So we have to find a way to calculate that. And the basic thing I'm going to do is find a direction, whether the direction is plus or minus, whether it's coming from the higher value to lower or it's increasing from lower to higher. So simple formula, if the previous value is less than the current value, it means it is increasing. You are going from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, like that. Otherwise it's going in the negative direction, which means you are moving from 4 to 3, 3 to 2, like that. So we got the plus minus symbol, and now we just have to append in front of our value. So now we can find the current animation. It will be the current value, of course. So we'll say value, and the direction, either it's going from lower to upper or upper to lower. So for that we'll say direction. Now if you notice, this value is a double value, so it's going to have the decimal point, and that will not match with our animation. It should be exactly same, not 5.0 plus, it should be 5 plus. So for that I can just round it up, and easily we can do that with the help of curly braces, and let's say round. So now with round, it gives you the integer value and you append it with the direction, which is plus or minus, and it's going to pick the current animation. So let's just save it, and finger crossed, let's try to rerun the application. So initially it's 5, now I'm moving from 5 to 4. See, the smiley changed. Now I'm moving from 4 to 3, it become neutral, 3 to 2, it becomes sad, and 2 to 1, it become very sad. And now if I just jump to 5, it will become very happy. So you got the point. With just few lines of code, we got this nice animation, and you can play around with it. I saw some glitch over here, so maybe one more condition I have to write. If the rating is equal to value, because while sliding it may happen that you are on the same place for longer time, so it's going to give the same value again. In that situation we just return. If it's the same value, like you are sliding or you are on the same place, we don't have to do any action. Okay, now let's try to see. So now we have achieved interaction with the flare animation, but you will see that once you stop interacting, this animation just looks like a simple image. How we can add more to it, like how it should be always animating, stuff like that. So for that I created a blink animation inside my flare. Let me just show you that. So if you go to on top, here you can see the blink animation, and let me play it for you. So after each 2 seconds, the animation is, it will blink the eyes, and that we have to integrate inside our application so that our emoji looks more dynamic. And now it's time to appreciate our viewers. Here's the comment of the week and channel of the week. Thank you so much for providing your valuable feedback. It really means a lot to me. And now let's get back to the tutorial. It's very simple. We just have to add a controller to our animation, because our animation is just controlled by this animation name. Whatever you change, it's going to change. But now we want something which should loop in background. For that we have to provide a controller. So for that we'll do a simple setup. Inside a lib folder I'm going to create a new file called smiley controller. This is just to separate the code. Okay, we can create in the same file as well, and I will say smiley controller, and this will extend from flare controller. Okay, it should be extends. So once you extend with flare controller, you have to override some methods, and these are the 3 methods which will control your animation. Basically, in set view transfer we are not going to do anything, so just forget about it. In initialize, of course, we want to do something, so let's make it on top because it's initialized, right? It looks good on top. Okay, and of course we're gonna do something in the advancement of the animation. So now we have the smiley controller in place. Let's add some animations. So I'm going to create an actor for that. So let's call blink, and we'll get the animation from the artboard. This artboard refers to the same file which you created on rive.app. So I'm just going to say get animation and the name of animation. Now for your reference, this is the same animation blink which I've created on rive.app. So make sure you name your animations properly because this is going to use inside your Flutter application. So using the same artboard, I'm calling get animation of blink, and I'm storing in the local variable, or instead I can store in the controller itself. So I'll call actor animation blink, and instead of storing locally, I will store in this variable. Simple, isn't it? So now comes the important part. This advanced method gets called each single frame. So you have to figure out the way to animate this blink after each 2 seconds, because our blink animation has a duration of 2 seconds. So after each 2 seconds, it should start again. And this is how you start the animation. You say apply, and it will ask you for the time, like what is the time of your animation, because our duration is 2 seconds. So it can be on 1 second, it can be on the first frame, second frame, third frame. So that you have to specify over here. The artboard, it automatically took, and the mix is like how smoothly it should transition. So for that you can give 0.5. This value ranges between 0 to 1. So if you provide 1, it means very shuttle change. If you provide 0, means this like very delayed change. So 0.5 works in almost all scenarios. So now comes the calculation part, how we are going to calculate the time of the animation. So it's very easy. Whatever the duration of your animation, you just divide by the current time. So I'm going to create a double called timer. Okay. And this timer, we will add whatever time has elapsed so far. So timer plus equal to elapsed. And this timer we're going to use over here, but not the straight timer, because if you say play the animation at 30 seconds, you don't have that 30-second animation. You have just 2 seconds of animation. So for that, we're going to do a modulus, and we will say whatever is the length of this animation, which is like blink dot duration. Okay, so what we are saying here, even the timer increases the duration of 2 seconds, it is going to do a modulus of that, so it will become basically less than 2 seconds at any point of time. So now we have everything in place. Let's go ahead and create the instance of this smiley controller inside our page. So I will say smiley controller. Okay, just a simple controller, just like you create for text edit and something like that. And this controller will go inside our FlareActor. So we can say controller is a smiley controller. And now when I reload the application, there's an error. Okay, the plus was called a null. I got it because the initial value of timer is null. So I'll make it a 0. And then let's just restart one more time. So another issue, it says Boolean expression must not be null. And we did the mistake over here that the advanced method, it requires a Boolean return type. It should have given a compilation issue, but anyways, we just have to return true. Okay, if you want your animation to continue, you just return true. And now let's reload the application one more time. So now everything is in place. Our emoji is blinking the eyes, and if we change the animation, it's going to become sad or very happy depending on the rating you provide. So it's a clap time. So I hope you got the clear idea how we animated the different states of animation and how we added some looping animation in the background. So this is another example which I created as a demo, and it has a simple about page which just have a floating action button in the center, and on click of that I'm just showing a dialog, and inside the dialog we have the same funda. We are just incrementing and we are changing the state just like that, and of course I have modified the UI so that it looks nice and good. So now I can change the rating, it becomes sad, and when I increase the rating it becomes happy. And now it's time for you guys to give review for this tutorial. Go ahead in the comment section and write your reviews, put some emojis, happy or sad. And in next tutorial I'm going to show you how to create this flare animation from scratch, how to create the project, how to sign up. All those stuff I'm going to explain in tomorrow's video, so make sure to subscribe the channel, hit the like button if you have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.